going on, guys? JSGC here, back again for another Manchester City video, where today we're going to be doing another Manchester City transfer update, including huge updates today on Andrea Cambiasso, Morgan Gibbs-White, and of course Florian Wirtz. So before I do crack on with this video, make sure, like always, if you are enjoying the content, do subscribe to my channel. I'm going daily with my Manchester City transfer updates from June 1st for you guys to enjoy and keep up to date here on YouTube with all the latest Manchester City transfer news. So if you haven't already, do subscribe. It is free. Social media links, they're in the description if you want to go and check them out. Email also in the description too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorships for any videos or any general business inquiries. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up. 300 likes is the aim. Smashed it on the last two transfer updates, so hopefully we can hit it on this one as well. That would be great. Also, don't forget to get your thoughts in the comments below. Finally, this video is sponsored and brought to you by Sofascore. Sofascore are going to keep you guys up to date with all the latest football scores from around the grounds. They'll keep you up to date with the latest match information, along with the latest team news, statistics, and so much more. Not just limited to football, it's got you guys covered for all the scores and information for all the sports that you guys love to follow, all in one place, all in one app. Sofascore is a very highly rated app. It is free to download, and anyone that does download using my link in the description or the QR code on screen does help to support the future content created here on my channel. So, cracking on with this video, we've got no contract news to speak about. We've got one story to speak about in the out, and it's the latest on Kevin De Bruyne. Now, BBC Sport here in the United Kingdom have said that Inter Miami are no longer in the picture when it comes to signing Kevin De Bruyne on a free from Man City. Chicago Fire have the first option to speak to Kevin De Bruyne. They've already spoken to his camp and are preparing to present their offer to try and make this deal happen. We've seen a similar situation coming from San Diego, the similar situation with Inter Miami. Clubs that have been interested, clubs that are no longer interested. It is believed that Kevin De Bruyne wants to stay in Europe as his priority. If that cannot happen, then he'd pursue a move to North America. He's not interested in a move to the Middle East and a move to Saudi Arabia at this point. It's looking like Chicago Fire are the team that are most favourites to sign Kevin De Bruyne on a free contract. I'm quite surprised right now. I know the name has been mentioned with New York City Football Club, but I am quite surprised that New York City FC aren't putting their name forward and pushing harder to try and keep Kevin De Bruyne in the City Football Group. Let's not forget that NYCFC are, of course, part of the City Football Group, and it would be really nice to keep Kevin De Bruyne as part of the CFG as well. So we'll see if they do make a move, but it's looking like right now Chicago Fire are going to be the team that Kevin De Bruyne potentially does join this summer. Now, moving on to the ins, we've got the very latest on, it's not a new name overall to Manchester City, but is a new name for this window. It's an update on Rayan Ait-Nouri, and Graham Bailey have said that Manchester City are currently doing their homework on Rayan Ait-Nouri to try and bring him in from Wolverhampton Wanderers. Now, Manchester City like the player. They've liked him for a while. Manchester City are looking at fullbacks for the summer. We've seen Andrea Cambiasso heavily linked with a move to Manchester City from the January transfer window, which that interest has carried forward into this summer transfer window as well. But the player has picked up a couple of niggling little injuries, and he's had a little bit of an injury-prone season. And I think Manchester City are just putting some feelers out there for some other potential contingencies like Rayan Ait-Nouri over at Wolves. Now, Ait-Nouri is soon to be a 24-year-old left-back who can play all along that left flank. He's a French-born Algerian international, a really good, solid player. I like him. Premier League proven, 30 appearances so far this season in the Premier League with Wolves. Got 4 goals and 7 assists. He likes to get forward. We saw that in that game between Man City and Wolves last week, where Ait-Nouri hit the post. He should have scored, so a good save from the keeper. He likes to attack. He likes to get forward. He likes to make things happen, and I think he's a really good player. And if it's not to be Cambiasso, I have no problem with Ait-Nouri being the player that we do choose to bring in. Just like we've got another left back that I want City to keep an eye on, would be Anthony Robinson over at Fulham. Again, a really good, solid Premier League fullback who I think could do a really good job. And to me, Robinson's a better defender than what Ait-Nouri is, but Ait-Nouri's better at getting forward and creating and making things happen and playing attacking football. So I look at these two players and I'm thinking, do we want to go for a defensive-minded player, or do you want to go for an offensive-minded player if it's not to be Andrea Cambiasso? Cambiasso, let's not forget, a 25-year-old Italian international, very versatile versatile because he can play, he's predominantly a left back, can play at right back, can play through midfield as well. And I think that's what's appealed to Manchester City. However, Cambiasso would be pretty expensive. We're looking at over £50 million. So the question would be, if it was to be Anthony Robinson at Fulham, how much would he cost? We know that we were looking at around £40 million that was being quoted in the January transfer window, and we've not seen a price put on Rayan Ait-Nouri's head as of right now as to how much he would cost. So it's all about crunching numbers and seeing who would be best for Manchester City here. And remember, it's not all to do with big names and experience and quality that they've got. It's also, for me, City have got to consider not just homegrown, but also think about fitness. You don't want to be bringing players in who are never going to be fit. You want players to be brought in who have got a really good injury track record, who are going to keep themselves fully fit, and they're always going to be a good option for Manchester City should we need them. So there's some things that City have to bear in mind, not just when it comes to fullbacks, but all players that we choose to bring in this summer. And that leads us very nicely onto Morgan Gibbs-White, because he does keep himself in shape. He's a very fit player. He doesn't pick up too many injuries, certainly not over this current season. And because of that, he would be occupying as Man City's engine in midfield that City would be looking for. And as far as my understanding is, I don't think it's a case that, it's Morgan Gibbs-White or it's going to be bringing in Florian Wirtz. We're looking at two very different kind of central midfielders. I think Morgan Gibbs-White has been used more as that direct force through Manchester City's midfield, who's going to be playing these through balls in for the runs of Erling Haaland and Omar Marmoush. He's going to be working the ball into space, and I think that's what City are looking for when it comes to Morgan Gibbs-White. So Mark Douglas has said that Manchester City are continuing to push forward to try and sign Morgan Gibbs-White. City are edging ever closer to get an agreement in place with the player's entourage to make this transfer happen, but it is believed that the fee would be the biggest hurdle in this transfer. I imagine that once the Premier League season does end, Manchester City will be pushing to accelerate this deal. Morgan Gibbs-White, of course, a central midfielder who plays as a central attacking midfielder as well at Nottingham Forest, English, homegrown, 25 years old, ticks all the boxes that City would be looking for when it comes to a central midfielder. I think the biggest problem that we've got here is this £100 million asking price that's been set by Nottingham Forest. I don't see City going towards that. Obviously, Morgan Gibbs-White isn't a £100 million player. My question is out there, who is a £100 million player? These transfer fees are getting ridiculous. They're going through the roof. But if that price can be negotiated and Morgan Gibbs-White is keen to make that move happen, and keep an eye on how Nottingham Forest finish the season, because if they don't have Champions League football, then I think this transfer becomes very doable for Manchester City. So we will keep my eyes and ears open on that one. Now, moving on, let's speak about Florian Wirtz. This news came out as I was editing yesterday, and I thought, do you know what? I was planning on having a day off today, but there's actually a perfect excuse for me to do another transfer update for today to speak about Florian Wirtz. So let's do it. So Bild over in Germany said yesterday that Florian Wirtz doesn't want to join Real Madrid. He doesn't want to join Manchester City this summer. He only wants to stay in Germany, and if he is to leave Bayer Leverkusen, he only wants to go to Bayern Munich. Now, Bayer Leverkusen's bosses aren't aware of Florian Wirtz telling them that he wants to leave to join Bayern Munich, and Bild have asked Bayer Leverkusen and Bayern Munich for a response to this story, but have declined to say anything. Now, Sky Sports over in Germany have said that no deal is in place as of yet. Bayern Munich are preparing a contract worth around 20 to 25 million euros a year for Florian Wirtz. That works out to around 17 to 20.2 million pounds per year. We're looking at a weekly wage of around 326 to 388,000 pounds a week. Bayern Munich are also happy to wait till next summer to potentially make this transfer happen, but would like an agreement in place this summer. The player, his entourage and his family want him to stay in Germany for now. They say that at some point in the future he may want to move away from Germany, and they're currently pushing for that move to Bayern Munich. Florian Wirtz, of course, a 22-year-old central attacking midfielder from Bayer Leverkusen, with Bayer Leverkusen looking for a whopping amount of money. We're looking at triple-digit £1 million fee this summer to make a Florian Wirtz transfer happen. And this kind of sent the Manchester City fans into overdrive yesterday, and I was waiting for some more news just to filter through, because there were some murmurs coming in from a couple of quite reliable sources in Germany who were very much contradicting what had been reported by Bild. And I think it's important, because I'd regard Bild as being quite a reliable source in Germany, but a lot of the German sources, I'm not saying there's an agenda, but a lot of it is pushed for by Bayern Munich. They're the biggest and best club in Germany, so they'll always do what's best for the Bundesliga, what's best for German football, and normally what's best for German football is they've got that biggest and best team, Bayern Munich. So it's well within Germany's best interest and Bayern Munich's best interest and this big club's best interest that Florian Wirtz plays at their club and nowhere else. Hence the dismissing the likes of English clubs like Manchester City and dismissing Spanish giants in Real Madrid as well. I think it's a bit crude to be dismissing such clubs who would hold an interest. I firmly believe that Man City are interested in making a Florian Wirtz transfer happen, and I'd be amazed if Real Madrid weren't at least exploring the possibility of making a transfer happen, and I'd be amazed if there aren't other big teams around Europe interested, the likes of PSG, Barcelona, if they've sorted the finances out, other Premier League clubs as well. It won't just be Bayern Munich and nobody else, which is kind of what the sources in Germany are saying. But other sources in Germany, they're saying that no decision, no agreement in place with the player in Bayern Munich. They've not really heard anything from Bayer Leverkusen or from the players' camp to suggest that some big story has come out. There's definitely been some kind of movement, and very interesting transfer, because normally German sources are very efficient and very easy to read. I found that with the Erling Haaland saga. There wasn't really much of a saga. It was just fact. It was always the other sources that were just trying to push for a player to go somewhere else. We saw those reports from Bild saying that Erling Haaland was going to be joining Real Madrid, and he didn't. He joined Manchester City instead. So I have to be very careful with this transfer and dealing with different sources and looking for the reliability, because there can be a bit of fiction put in there, and it makes things very confusing, very tricky, and very complicated. So Sam Lee has spoken about it, a source close to Manchester City working for The Athletic. He said that his understanding from the City end is that Man City are still confident that a deal can happen to sign Florian Wirtz this summer. Man City aren't really that fazed by these rumours coming out of Germany as well. I think the overall response to these stories coming out from Bild yesterday were overly quite negative, so much so that Bild have published another story today, kind of backtracking, kind of staying on the same lines. They've said that Bayer Leverkusen, this is probably the most interesting bit I took away from all of this, Bayer Leverkusen are not expecting Florian Wirtz to sign that new contract. They've said that he was set to sign for months and months and months. We're getting towards the summer transfer window and he's not signing that new contract, and they're saying he's not going to be signing that new contract. That suggests to me that Florian Wirtz will be leaving Bayer Leverkusen this summer. No new contract, no release clause, no nothing in place. It means very much that he's off. So is it going to be to Bayern Munich? We've seen these big movements over the last 24 hours with these rumours and sources coming round and saying that that is the case. So we'll have to wait and see if that is the case. Word coming in from City is they're still confident, they still believe that they can make a transfer happen. Bayer Leverkusen not willing to budge on their price. They wanted him to sign a new contract and they were willing to come down on the price. We were looking at around 100 to 110 million pounds, not including the bonuses. All in now, Bayer Leverkusen are looking at nearly 130 million pounds. We're looking at an overall deal worth 127.7 million pounds, or 150 million euros. That is the number that it will take to tempt Bayer Leverkusen to press that accept button when it comes to a potential sale of Florian Wirtz wherever he may end up. Will it be to Bayern Munich? Will it to be Manchester City? For such a big transfer with a player demanding such a big wage that we're looking at around 300 to 400,000 pounds a week, which may explain why Kevin De Bruyne is leaving, and all the other players that City will be looking at will be players who are going to fit the wage structure, players who are going to come in and be working towards what they'll be on 40 to maybe 120,000 pounds a week. So what can Man City afford? What can they afford to spend? Because a large chunk of Man City's summer transfer business will be going towards Florian Wirtz in the summer that needs transition, that may need 5 or 6 new signings. It all depends on what the other players want to do and which players end up leaving Manchester City. So I imagine what City will be doing is trying to get clarity on that come the end of the season, and then look to try and accelerate this deal if they feel a deal can be done, which right now I sit here more confident today than I was yesterday when these initial sources were coming out. One thing I did put on Twitter, and I'm sticking by this, I'll be quite happy when the Florian Wirtz saga is done, and that's right guys, I'm officially now declaring this a saga, because that's what it is. We're looking at a transfer battle. What's going to happen, I do not know. I will have updates on this, you mark my words. So stick around. If you haven't already, do subscribe. It is free. Social media links there in the description if you want to go and follow me on my Twitter, Instagram and TikTok. Email also in the description too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorships for any videos or any general business inquiries. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up on the video. 300 likes is the aim. Get your thoughts in the comments below as well. And also don't forget to go and check out today's video sponsor, which is brought to you by Sofascore. I'll see you all again real soon for the next video. So I've been JSGC. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope everyone is safe and well. Peace. Ciao for now.